Hello, we're going to talk about Chapter 13, the endocrine system today. And here are the different glands that are involved with the endocrine system. Okay, notice that they are all over the human body. We've got a few in our brain, in our neck, all the way down. We already talked about our urinary system, so you'll notice above the kidneys is the adrenal glands. And you'll notice that where it gets a little bit different is the difference between the male and the female. So the endocrine glands are going to be different depending on your sex. Let's talk about the field of endocrinology. So remember, anything ending in ology is the study of, and the prefix is what you're studying. So endocrinology is the study of the endocrine system. And the endocrine system is actually chemical communication in your body. Your body has unique chemicals in it. We call them hormones, that they serve to communicate between the cells, between systems, and they control many of the physiological processes in your body. The endocrine system consists of two main categories. First, endocrine glands. Second, hormone secreting cells. Okay, so you'll notice way over here on the right-hand side, this picture that we have gives you 4 different glands in your body from the neck up. Okay, and they are going to secrete different hormones. So you'll notice your pineal gland that is deep in the base of your brain, that secretes melatonin. So your pineal gland actually helps with your circadian cycle, your sleep cycle, your wake cycle. You've also got your pituitary, your anterior and your posterior. They both secrete different hormones. And something that I find interesting is the anterior pituitary gland that's inside your head secretes what's called thyroid stimulating hormone. Thyroid stimulating hormone is a hormone that talks to your thyroid so that it can secrete one of those 2 hormones. So your brain here is using that hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, to talk to the thyroid gland in order to tell it to increase its production of the hormone or to decrease the production of the hormone. Again, this is an example of 2 different systems talking to each other in order to maintain homeostasis. These hormones are actually released in the interstitial fluid directly into the blood. So they get released into the blood, and then the blood carries it to wherever it needs to go in the body. And the blood carries it to all of the cells in the body. So it goes much, much faster. Hormones are secretions of the endocrine system, and their main job is to maintain homeostasis. Pretty important job, if you ask me. Endocrine glands. You've got these endocrine glands that we focus on. The pituitary gland. Again, the pituitary gland is up in your brain. Thyroid, you've got the thyroid gland in your neck. Then you've got the parathyroid, which is just on the other side of the thyroid gland. The adrenal glands, we already know, that's on our kidneys. And then the pineal gland is a very, very small one at the base of our brain. Let's talk about each individual one. The hypothalamus is a very small region of your brain. It's the major link between the nervous and the endocrine system. These are 2 different systems. However, the hypothalamus is the link between the 2. And the hypothalamus secretes 9 hormones, and those 9 hormones are important in controlling your body temperature, your hunger, your thirst, and your circadian cycle, which is your sleep-wake cycle. Okay, you might want to write that down. Sleep, wake, cycle. We were created to sleep at night and be awake during the day within a 24-hour period. And the hypothalamus also secretes hormones that cause the secretion of other hormones, if that makes sense. The hypothalamus secretes neurohormones, which tell other hormones to secrete when the time comes. Okay, so here's a picture of your hypothalamus here. It's this gray one. Okay, and then you've got your pituitary right there. The pituitary is very, very small. Like you see in this picture, it is the size of a pea. It controls the other endocrine glands in your body. It's located at the base of your brain and it's attached to the hypothalamus. The job of the pituitary gland is to control the growth of the person, the blood pressure, the thyroid gland function, and metabolism or weight control. So a lot of times when we hear of, especially basketball players that are ginormous, okay, giganticism, or equally, if we have people who are very, very short-statured or suffer from dwarfism, that can actually be a problem with their pituitary gland because their pituitary gland controls growth. So they can have a tumor or something, some miscommunication on the pituitary gland and the hormones it secretes, which cause a person to get too tall or be too short. It also produces human growth hormone. Okay, and human growth hormone is the hormone that maintains muscle and bone mass. It's also the hormone that gets secreted when there's injury or in need of tissue repair. And human growth hormone is released in bursts, so it's not constantly flowing. It's released every few hours. And usually by about the age of 40, human growth hormone stops being produced. So you can pretty much consider yourself not growing any longer after that. The thyroid gland, like we mentioned earlier, is just below the larynx. It controls the basal metabolic rate, which we already know is has to do with your weight and your body temperature. If there is not enough secretion, that's called hyposecretion, that leads to a disorder called goiter, which we talked about a while back. Goiter is where you have a huge mass accumulation of tissue in the neck, because remember, the neck is where your thyroid gland is. The parathyroid looks like a butterfly, and it is embedded in the thyroid gland. They're right next to each other, and its job is to regulate levels of calcium in the body. So the parathyroid works alongside the thyroid gland as well. And I'm going to stop here, and we'll continue with adrenal glands in the next presentation.